And we're going live on Facebook. Hello, everybody. My name is Josh Ochs, and I'm so honored to get to hang out with you here this afternoon. It's been an exciting week, and I have an absolutely incredible expert on right now, Alon Shwartz, and he's from a startup called Unglue. And Unglue is a pretty incredible little app that helps your family really with screen time. And screen time's a really hot issue. So the topic of this video is, what are some tips that families can use? And you've heard this from me before. What are some tips that families can use to make sure their kids are not getting too addicted to this, so they're having normal social skills? So, Alon, we have you here as a guest. I'm so honored to have you. You're a dad, you're an entrepreneur, and you're everything in between. Welcome to the video.
Thank you very much for having me. It's great to be here and to share a lot of what's going to happen in our kids' life as well as our own life in the future, and how can we make it better.
Yeah, so I'm showing everybody essentially on the screen, I'm showing them your website. You end screen time battles, you start better habits. Too much screen time, it's a problem all parents face. Now there's a solution that gives kids the power to learn healthier habits, and so it's really cool. And so you've got an app. Is it on Android and iOS? Is that right?
Yes, so first it's important to understand that Unglue really is an overall solution. It works on Android, it works on iPhone, and it works on any device at home, any Wi-Fi connected device. That's computers, tablets, Kindle, Xbox, smart TV. So it works across any device. We definitely encourage parents to start with their kids' smartphone because that's the easiest one to start and obviously the most addictive device that they have, but it works across everything.
All right, so you bring up a good point. Internet addiction is a thing. It's a huge thing right now. But are there other issues that are less dramatic but just as problematic, smaller things that you can share with us?
So there's a lot of so technology as a whole, by the way, is great, and I think that's important for us to establish first and foremost that no one is against technology, and certainly not us. I mean, we're a technology company. As you mentioned, I'm a dad. I've got 3 kids, 11, 14, 18,
Yep.
And technology is part of our life. The challenge really is that how do you balance it with other activities that are happening, and how do you deal with distractions? So for example, my 18-year-old son obviously is driving, and I'm worried that he's going to look at this while he's driving. So how do you prevent that? And it is very, very hard because every time the phone buzzes or makes a sound, you immediately want to check what's going on. So these are type of examples that we're trying to help parents as well as kids with dealing with distractions and the part of addiction.
Yeah, and then you've been talking to hundreds of parents about this. You're interviewing people, you're talking to users. What have you learned along the way?
That's a good point. Really, since we launched, I've talked to over 1,500 parents, and what we're discovering is that there's if you look at the number of arguments parents have per day per family, this is the number one issue right now really in the world. Their kids, as they grow, they have different issues, of course, but this is the most stressful type of issue that parents are having, and it is a real thing that's happening. And what we're seeing is that parents have tried a lot of things in the past. Mm-hmm. Right? We're obviously not the first solution to come. Mm-hmm. There are other parental control, and we should talk about it later, what's the difference between what we do and what everyone else. But the idea is that parents discover that nothing works, whatever. They turn off the kids' internet, they buy smart routers and all these other gadgets. And what they realize is that they need to involve their kids. And every time they start involving their kids in discussion, good things happen. And you know what? That's actually how parenting works. This is not a new thing. We know that every time our kids are having any kind of issue, whether it's school, with friends, we need to encourage them to talk. We need to encourage them to find solutions.
Yep.
This is no different.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Dialoguing is really and I tell the people this, and this isn't a paid anything. This is just one friend asking another friend questions about the struggle of helping families, which I really truly believe you're doing. But I'm always telling people the only safety app that truly loves your kids is you. Parents, right. You have to talk to your kids. You must be the most educated you can be because you are the only safety app that's truly going to wake up in the middle of the night and protect your kids. There's a lot of other great apps out there as well, like yours. Now, what are some common tactics parents currently are using to manage screen time, in addition to what you're doing? What are some of the things parents are doing, or what can they do to protect their kids?
Right. I think one thing, just to kind of add to what you said is that we live in a world that everything became easy, right? We don't buy anything. We just Amazon Prime, Amazon Fresh just deliver everything to us, self-driving cars. Yeah, exactly. It's great, right? We all almost trying to outsource parenting and have a nice button for us to press.
That's a great line.
Life will be great, right? I get to press one button, my kids go back to doing their stuff. It doesn't work this way, right? So but I want to share one app that I think is important. It's called Bark. So it's bark.us, and Bark, what they do is allow you to, it's basically a monitoring service that listens to your kids' social media, and it will only alert you. It won't let you see what they see, which I love, because I do believe in privacy that kids need to have. But if they do have conversation around sex or drugs or guns or anything, pregnancy, God forbid, right, they will alert you about that. So they do maintain the privacy and the respect between parents and their kids, but it will alert you the parents. I think that's an important service that you should know about.
Okay, bark.us. That's a great little tip. But what are some that's one of the common tactics parents are using on protection. We're going to talk about privacy in a sec. We're going to have a really good dialogue of that. What are some other techniques if your kids are addicted to their phones? This is a small, shameless plug about Parent University. I taught a bunch of people today how to use Snapchat, and they can see that on the screen right now. It's called Parent University, and for $9 a month, I taught parents exactly how Snapchat works and how the new Snap Map feature works, where you can show your location to other kids and how kids can go all around LA and see what's going on. And we taught them that, but that's kind of fun. But what are some other techniques that parents can use to protect their kids? Any other screen time techniques?
I think it's really all about education, right? It's all about dialogue. So, for example, your kids, if you want to know what's really going, the new hot thing, if you want to know more about Snapchat, beyond asking Josh here and going to the university, you should ask the experts. So, in addition to Josh being the expert, your kids are the experts.
You're right.
Ask them. Open a conversation. And for example, even a few weeks ago, I asked my kid, what are Snapchat this counter, how do you call this? Streaks. Thank you.
Yeah, we talked about it today too. What is it? How does it work? Yeah.
And instead of doing Google searching, I ask my daughter, and she 10 minutes explained to me everything, the ins and outs. She's 11, right? Just to put things in perspective. She's the expert. Yeah. So I do believe in dialogue. Ask the expert. So educate yourself using your university, which is fantastic and amazing. And ask your kids.
Kids are the number one. Not every parent, and the whole reason we did this is not every parent has a great, healthy dialogue with their kids, and so that's kind of the reason. When you come to them, I couldn't agree with you more. Kids first and us second. But okay, so parental control applications, huge deal right now, and that's really what we're talking with you about. And like you said, let's outsource our parenting, just like we can outsource and have UberX pick us up and all these different apps deliver us food. And even I've done my laundry with an app. I've had people pick up 20 pounds of laundry and do it while I travel. But parental control and outsourcing it, where is that failing, and what can we do to fix that?
Great. So I believe that parental control, that whole concept, is the biggest mistake in parenting in the modern history. Yeah. And I'm not saying it just for fun. It is the biggest mistake, because parenting, if you look at what parenting is, it's about teaching our kids how to think on their own. It's about guiding them and letting them make the right decisions. It's about teaching them good habits, and it's about leading by example. And what parental control is telling us to do is, it's not about the kids. It's all about you, the parent, controlling your kids. Hence the parental control, right? It's that you shouldn't talk to your kids about this. Just install a little app on their phone, buy a little smart router, and that's it. You should just do something, little trick. You press one button, the internet is off, life is better. But that's not true, right? These kids that they're telling you not to talk to, they are 10 times smarter than you when it comes to technology. They will fight back. They will figure out a way. Within 30 seconds, they'll Google it, and they'll know what to do, how to get out of that. And by the way, when you're cutting their internet, which is really what parental control is all about, you're only stopping the supply. You're not doing anything to temper their demand. So really, you're not teaching them anything. You're not guiding them on how to do anything. And usually, unfortunately, we are leading by a really bad example, right?
That's so wise. That's a really great way to look at that. You're cutting off the supply, but not the demand. And if you don't have a dialogue with the kids and don't talk to them and also give them more activities outside of the internet, real life, in-person stuff, then
Exactly. And it works
yeah,
great when you have a 5-year-old, a 4-year-old, and she's using an iPad and you take it away. Sure. That she'll be 8 and 12 and 15, and trust me, you cannot do that stuff.
You can't do that, especially when they go over to other kids' houses and the other kid might be a well-to-do family and they have a backup zombie phone and they go, yeah, you can borrow my dad's extra phone. I have an extra one that has a crack in it. When you're over at my house, you can use the Wi-Fi version and you'll be on Tinder and all these other apps, right? And oh, my daughter's over at this person's house and they're having a great time. I know their parents, but she has a free cell phone over there, right? This happens all the time. Parents are like, my daughter isn't on social media. Well, maybe not in your living room while you're watching TV. You can see her on the couch. She's not. But when she's over at Sally's house, she's on the web in a dangerous way. I couldn't agree more. So
it's like anything. It's like you don't force your kid to eat healthy. You don't force your kid to play sports or play music. You encourage them, but you let them make their own decision and you guide them along the way and pick them up where they fall. This is no different. For some reason, we start to believe that we have all of the control and they should have zero, which is not the way, because they know better. So we should bring them back, stop treating them like victims and stop treating them like the bad guys and let them manage their own time.
That's a really good segue into the next thing. How does screen time management, in your opinion, and this is what I want, is I love your opinion, because I think you have a unique perspective, and we're going to get into a good, healthy dialogue and debate in a minute. But how does it change from age level to age level? Can you break us down? You're a dad. How old are your kids?
So my daughter is 11. I've got a son, 14, and my oldest, he's 18, which is absolutely crazy.
So that's a pretty big gamut. That's the digital age right there, right? 11 to 18. How does it change from 0 to 5 and 5 to 10 or whatever? What are your phases and what are your suggestions?
So what we're seeing, and we have tens of thousands of users already. There's definitely the young groups of kids, and usually it starts around 4 when the grandparents give the iPad as a gift, which I think is a horrible mistake. But in reality, I mean, the iPad is the best babysitter ever invented, right? I mean, you just want to have a nice dinner and just relax a little bit. So there's that age. The next group, that's really where the doomsday, as I call it. You know what a doomsday is? That's
what do you mean?
Doomsday is when you give your kids a smartphone. That's the doomsday, because then they take it with them to school. It's no longer Wi-Fi. They're no longer at home. They can do whatever they want. And that's really the next kind of milestone. Until then, they're at home. They're using some kind of a Wi-Fi connected. And usually the parents believe they can take it away, which, again, I don't believe is the right approach. The next step, of course, is high school. And at that point, parents, I talk to a lot of parents, and they think if they don't know it by now, they're gone. And I hate that term so much, because they believe that somehow teenagers should be able to learn how to manage their own time. And by themselves, which is not obviously very, very difficult. So these are kind of the breakdown of age groups. And I think that what is important to remember is, like any other skill that we teach our kid, eating, sports, whatever the skill is, right? Being a good citizen, a good person, it starts when they're young.
Yeah.
Teaching them how to manage their own time has to start when they're young, when they're 6. And I talk to so many parents, and they're saying, my daughter is too young. She doesn't know how to manage her own time, but she can master the iPad, which makes no sense to me. I mean, she will learn how to manage time. When she's 8, she will know more. When she's 10, she'll know even more. Start young. Okay.
So start young about managing time. When is a time when you think that parents, this is all over the board, and this is a terrible question, it's too vague. When can I give my kids Snapchat? When can I give my kids a phone? What would you tell a parent?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, and I've been asked that from almost any parent. And the real answer is it's whenever you feel is the right age, but have a manual, right? Have an agreement with them. Yep. Have a plan with them. Do not just give them the phone and say good luck. Make sure they understand that from day one, when they get the phone or the tablet or the computer, there is an agreement. You will spend only X number of minutes or hours per day
Yep.
On the addictive part, right? On social media, watching YouTube, whatever, videos and play games. These are the three categories that you have to have an agreement with your kid. Social media, videos, and game. Now, social media in general, I definitely don't think they should have before the age of 11, 12, 13, and even then with a lot of supervision of the parents to make sure, again, guide your kids. Do not let them download whatever they want, Snapchat, Instagram, whatever, just because they want to.
Yeah.
Have a healthy dialogue. And again, educate. I mean, you have this amazing university. Parents should come to your university and spend time educating themselves.
Can I... Thank you for that. Can I pause for just a sec? You can't see my screen, but what I'm doing is sharing with everybody live right now a slide that I use for my speeches that when I travel to schools. When should my kid be public? And Alon, I'm going to read this to you as I show people. I'm going to geek out for just a second, make this dynamic. People are always asking, okay, it's all about safety. And then I go, actually, there's a future for your child based on the dialogue, Alon, that you talk about. There's a dialogue, and we tell people, when should my kid be public? Well, the parents are the expert. You decide when, and there's a screen that's following me that everybody can see this. But Josh's team and experts like Unglue will show you how to slowly someday make your kids public. Our professional suggestion is that ages 0 to 13, your kid is 100% private online. I'd love for you to disagree with me or adjust this, but 0 to 13, we should not be able to Google your child and find a path to where you live, what they're doing, what they're thinking, what they're eating. The public should not be able to find this. Instead, but by the age of 14 to 15, it's time to have a family discussion. Actually, family discussion should start at age 3 about this, or dialoguing. But at the age of 14 to 15, from the slide that's on the screen right now, you can all see it is time to have a family discussion regarding what should eventually go public, so that by the age of 15, you can consider dipping your toe into the digital waters and posting some positive images and volunteer photos on social media, so that by the age of 17, colleges will be able to slowly find a relevant online resume for your kid. If your family is ready for it and you're applying to your Dream 5 schools, whatever those are, there's a right school for every child, or a right opportunity, or for me, Walt Disney Studios applying. We want them to find the real Josh, not a bunch of other Joshes that are doing inappropriate stuff and getting confused with that. So safety first, 0 to 13 private, and then slowly it's a dialogue about how do you behave online in a great way that gets discovered offline, or behave offline in a way that ends up online, so that you're proud of your students. So just to tie this all in, and everybody that's watching this here right now, and I hate to hog it with that, Alon, I'm sorry for that, but we'll really talk to kids about how do you have a dialogue so that the kids understand the bigger and long-term picture, and they understand how this device is no longer a pastime, but instead a purpose, right? It leads to their new resume. That's me on my little soapbox. I apologize.
I completely agree with that breakdown of ages. I think it's super important to make sure, because I do think that kids need to understand the concept of privacy, and this new generation completely ignores privacy. Mm-hmm. In our generation, privacy was everything. I mean, you would never share anything. So even sharing photos, it took us a year, our generation, to realize that that's okay. This new generation, these kids have no concept of privacy, and we do need to educate them about, passwords and why passwords are important, and about what to upload and what not to upload, when to upload, it's okay to share with your friends, and when it's okay to share publicly. So I completely agree with you, and I think security and securing their own accounts and their own devices, super important, and I know that's important for you as well.
Yeah, it's a really big deal. Let's talk real quick on privacy. Let's move on to the next thing. You and I were talking before this about is it a good best practice to review your kid's social media feed, their account, to log in on, a lot of parents go, I know what's going on. My kid is on Instagram and they logged me into their account. And by the way, not plugging, but you can go watch our free videos outside of Parent University, and especially in it, looking at, does your kid have a second Instagram account? Do they have a Finstagram account, right? And so a lot of parents think, oh, I'm good. I'm monitoring the old school way by them logging in to my phone. What is your theory on that? And talk to us through your opinion, because I love it, and I want to dialogue about it.
So what I'm going to say, I guarantee will upset more than a few parents.
Yeah, and that's what I like. I'm not saying I agree with your opinion. I like upsetting. Go ahead.
But so again, remember, I'm a parent myself, right? So I've been through that. My wife is a high school teacher. So think of it from that lens, right? So I preach what I say, right? So I do what I preach, right? Yeah. I don't believe that parents should continuously look into their kids' feeds and social media accounts. First of all, I think it's a huge waste of time. Who has time to go through long lists of chats between teenagers or preteens and their friends? I mean, it's all bunch of selfies and hey dude and what are you doing? And so it's 99.99% boring, and the likelihood of you finding something is minute. So yes, they said the F word once in a while. Is this really the biggest problem that you want to deal with your kids? More importantly than that, or as important, is the fact that when we were kids, if our parents would look into our journal or our diary, that would be completely unacceptable. Mm-hmm. If our parents, when we were talking to our friends, they would pick up their handset in the kitchen and listen on the conversation, we would be furious. How dare you? If we would find them driving behind us as we go to our friend's house, hiding in the bushes, looking exactly what we're doing, we would think they're insane. And yet we do this all the time electronically. And I guarantee you that soon enough, there'll be an app that will allow us to transcribe every phone call our kids ever had on their phone with their friends. And we'll get an email with this, here's the transcription of, it's like the NSA is doing right now. So I'm sure there'll be an app at some point that can do that. Yeah. Would we like to see it as well? I mean, this is the biggest problem for me, because the fact that technology allows us to do that shouldn't be the reason why we do. If you don't trust your kids at all, I mean, is world became so much unsafe. The United States became so much unsafe in the last 15, 20 years since the internet was invented. Are there now so many more, bad people out there that want to kidnap your kids? So there's a lot of research that shows that's not the case. But I think media likes sensations, right? Media likes to explode everything and make everything so much more than what it really is. So shaming parents, shaming moms for leaving the kids for 30 seconds in the car when they're picking up their laundry, and they can see the kid and like, oh my God, what did you do? So there's a huge shaming problem that happens, especially with moms, that I'm so much against. So this whole spying after our kids, cyber spoofing, in my opinion, is a huge mistake, because instead of us talking to our kids, teaching our kids good habits, good digital habits, make sure not to publish your picture. Make sure to talk to people you know. I mean, just when we were young, again, our parents told us, don't take candy from people. Don't walk into someone else's van. Don't talk to strangers. Same rules apply today. Those strangers just happen to be online. How is this any different? So we somehow like to outsource our parent to someone else. So
you're over here with hey, give your kids the freedom. And then there's some people over here saying lock down and read everything. And I'm right here. I believe that you should have an early and healthy dialogue, and that you should also kind of know what's going on a little bit. Because remember, we were talking earlier about, and I had a talk with a mom this morning. Everybody that joins Parent University, I call them. I shock them. They go, who's this? I go, this is Josh. You just signed up. And wait, what? You call people? And she said something really interesting about that. She said, I had a talk with my kids, and I told them that I learned what a Snapchat streak is and what a snap map. And their kids went, how'd you know that, Mom? How'd you learn? What? And she said, I'm not telling you, but know that I know where you're at. I know what's going on. I'm not telling you how I know. And she said, it made me so empowered to be able to talk with my kids about it, for them to know that I am on that app. And I understand, she watched one of our free videos and it taught her how to do it. We had a long dialogue with this really nice woman. And she said, it gave me so much empowerment to know what's going on. And for them to think, hey, Mom can track me. She might not always track me, but it was interesting. I liked her take on it. So I'm right in the middle. And I think that it is good to give them a little bit of freedom, but it's great to dialogue and show them, I have access to this. This is my device I bought for you. And this device can kill people. This is a car. And I always ask, Alon, you tell me if I'm wrong, but I always ask people in big audiences, and you speak to people, you have the opportunities to go around the country, and you're very charming and good at this. And I always ask them, there's always a parent, and you've seen this in the audience, that says, should I go into my kid's phone? Should I have the passcode to my kid's phone? And I ask, and I love that we disagree on this. I say, if you bought your kid a car, would you have the right to have a second set of keys? Yep. Yep.
So let me clear. So I make it. It has nothing to do with privacy, right? It has to do with trust. I do believe that parents should have the passcode to their kid's phone.
Okay.
I do believe parents should have in a sealed envelope all the passwords to all the social media that the kids have in a sealed envelope. So if something bad happens and you do need to go in and check what happened, you should be. I'm just saying it's a moot point.
Yeah.
To think for a second that if you spy after your kids, you would find something bad. I believe that wholeheartedly that you talking to your kids, having a dialogue, your kid can get into trouble all over the place. In school, with friends, they can do bad things. I mean, kids are kids, right? Nothing changing in humanity. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you were, I know what that type of kid I was, right? So kids are kids. They will get into all kind of trouble unless you have a dialogue with them. So to believe that you can spy, that spying after our kids is the solution, is misleading. So again, it's not to do with you just giving them full power.
Understood.
It's exactly what you said. It's about dialogue.
Yeah, and I always talk to parents, if you gave them, and I agree with you, if you gave them a car, would you have the keys to that car? They always, yes. If you gave them a car and you suspected something was in the trunk and you had just the suspicion, do you have the opportunity and the right to be able to go into the trunk to see if there's anything illegal? Yes. If they're driving it wrong, do you think that you can take those keys away because it could kill somebody else? Yes. And so I'm always telling somebody, I say, you're not a bad parent if you have that passcode. If you choose to have the opportunity to inspect that vehicle, because this is a Ferrari. This is an $800, if you have the new iPhone or whatever, this is ridiculously priced pieces of art, as they call them. And this thing can hurt other people and can hurt yourself. And that's why I'm always talking to parents. It really is parent by parent. I think you would agree. Every situation is very different, but you're not a bad parent. And I've heard some great relationships from dads and daughters about, hey, yeah, I know her passcode. And if because I bought this for her, we have an agreement that if she's sitting across the dinner table and she's on it, I can say, I'd like to see it. And he goes through it. He goes, it looks great. Let's give it back. All I'm saying is there's different flavors for every family, and I'm not against parents trusting, but then also verifying a little. Does that make sense, or do you think I'm off? What's your opinion?
You're right. I mean, we're not here to judge anyone's parenting style, right? We're only here to give people advice about how to deal with the digital world. My point is, what I talk to parents, what I see is they believe that just because they have access to the phone or just because they bought the phone, they don't need to have that conversation because they have the password. So whenever they want, they can just go in and verify it. So I don't need to talk to my kids about it because I have the ability to do, inspections. That's not enough. That's not enough.
Yeah. So having that password and just going in and out, not having to talk with your kid, being passive aggressive is bad. I see where you're coming from with saying that's not the answer. I just really believe a healthy dialogue. You're dialoguing, plus you're on Snapchat with your kids, right? We've got an employee who's not here today, and I'm on Snapchat. We're snapping back and forth so that I know where your kids are at, what's going on from a standpoint of teaching parents. And we are really pushing this summer, Alon, to get every parent on Snapchat. Obviously, not the whole country's going to get Snapchat, but you get the ideas. Get on Snapchat, understand how it works. Oh, Josh, you don't understand. I'm not a tech person. I don't do that. That is probably the wrong approach to entering a digital world with your child. Josh, I don't want to teach my kid how to drive. I don't know. If you're going to give your kids the keys to the car, you should be right there with them, understanding how to drive 10 years before them, and then teaching them and verifying they're not going to hurt somebody. It is your responsibility, and that's how we teach them. Have fun. Your kids want to hang out on Snapchat. You can have a tremendous amount of fun. I've got some free videos on my Facebook page that teach you how to take silly photos. I mean, everything's free. Go on YouTube, but don't ever use the phrase, I'm not a tech person. These are free apps. Nothing is easier to use than an iPhone. It's got one button, right? I mean, it doesn't even come with a user manual. Have your kids teach you how to use it. Have some fun. Take some screenshots. You don't have to log into your kid's account, but just see what they're posting. If they're having a bad day, it's time to talk with them and cheer them up, take them to ice cream, right? I mean, there are ways to at least know what's going on.
Whatever you do, never leave a comment on your kids' photos.
Thank you for that. That's so true. Talk to us about more about that. I mean, yeah, so if you see your kid do something, Facebook's over for kids, but the old example was kids used to be on Facebook with their parents, and moms would say, "Oh, honey, I love you so much. I'll see you at dinner tonight. I'll see you." And kids, "Oh, leave me alone," right? It's like if you and I worked for other people, we would not want to have a boss that's asking us about our weekend, our how was your weekend? How was Vegas, right? So what are your tips on how to respectfully interact with kids?
I think that so you really took my example of, I think my wife one time left a picture about this an amazing, t-shirt or whatever shirt. That was the only time, and never ever happened again after a small skirmish at home. The other thing is, I think one of the most important, just go back to safety, is images. For me, pictures is probably the most destructive thing that can ever happen to a child. I've got a daughter, so for me, it's a terrifying thing of a photo, the wrong type of photo being shared, being uploaded, and once it's up there forever, right? And that's true for everything that you ever post. Mm-hmm. This is a digital signature, and you can never erase it. Sometimes maybe, but Google knows everything. So images, the whole conversation around images, around selfies, which is we did this amazing infographics of the history of digital addiction, like where it starts, and we'll publish it very soon. And the selfie, kind of the concept of selfie became obviously a phenomena. And if you look at my daughter's phone, 90% of the pictures are obviously selfie. It's the same selfie, just different background, right? It's in a car, it's in this, and she's 11 now, almost 12, but I am worried. So we're having a lot of conversation about her sharing the wrong image with the wrong person, and two, it's about where do they live, like sharing any kind of geographic location of where they are. So these are type of things that kids should be aware of, not just what to share, but absolutely what not to share.
Yeah, it's so true. One of the things, and correct me if I'm wrong, one of the things I've learned is I'm never telling students what not to do, but rather showing them examples on Google of things gone wrong. One of my best performing slides is, "Hey kids, today you're in middle school. I'm going to teach you how to get fired with one tweet." And they're like, "Wait, what? This is cool. This is a fun assembly." And they get excited because I'm going to show you how to burn yourself on the hot stove. But if I said, don't touch that hot pan on the stove, they're going to want to touch it. Right. But if I say, "Hey, let me teach you how to get fired with one tweet. I'll show you one person. We're not going to show their name, but we're going to show you what they said and what they did." And we work it up. Like dream job, applied for the dream job, got accepted, got an interview, was about to move to San Francisco to go get that dream job, tweeted one thing that was ungrateful and rude and mean. The kids are like, "No!" And we get them worked up. And that's one of the things we tell parents is stop telling your kids what to do, or consider this. Consider not telling them what to do, but instead go to Google and show them stories of, anybody that had a sexting problem or getting fired, or there's a million of them, right? A million examples of things gone wrong. Spend 2 minutes on Google without your kids first, and then go with them so you know which ones to pick. Sorry,
we did an amazing blog post. I just sent you the link. That's if your kids ever want to find a job, don't let them make those social media mistakes. And it's like amazing examples that you just go. Some of these photos are just crazy. So it will be great if you can share it later with the audience. It's on our blog. So it's blog.unglue.com. But this is exactly what you're talking about. We really took the time to pick the most crazy things that kids have done. If you scroll down here a little bit,
what's it called?
You'll see, the kid that licks all the burritos, all the tacos.
Which one is it called? Which one? What's the title of the blog?
It's 7 mistakes. It
I'll
is
just click on
if your kids ever find a job. So scroll up, you'll see see a kid looking at that one.
Oh my gosh. If your kids ever want a job, don't let them make these social media mistakes. I'm zooming in. Everybody can see it full screen. And this is a kid working at a taco joint and he's licking all the tacos. Is that what it is?
Yes, and he basically put it on social media, right?
Yeah, for these jobs. People used to do that. There's a Domino's thing where they did something inappropriate. For young job seekers, the internet can be either a huge benefit or a terrible curse.
Right.
Right. This is great. Vulgar, offensive comments. Going to Justine Sacco. So sad. There's a whole story behind that. I'm not on her side, but there's also an empathy part of it. But yeah, the mob happened. I don't tell that story because it has the word AIDS in it, and it's weird and sad. It's too complex.
Again, this is more for the parents, just to kind of educate them. So we're talking about educating parents. So
bad-mouthing your employer.
As a humor side, but really, it's a serious article. That is important for us to share with parents.
I'm going to comment this in the live broadcast right now as we're speaking, how not to behave online. And I'm just going to comment that, those of you that are watching below on the rebroadcast. The Cisco, we're going to wrap up here in just a minute, but the Cisco opportunity is really what I share with kids all over the country, and making an obvious lie. This is good stuff. And then posting sexy selfies. I'm the law today. Oh my gosh, that's a good one. Getting fired as a police officer, right? For millennials. Interesting. Well, that's really cool. I mean, not cool, but you get the idea. It's a good. You're helping a lot of people, and I think that's what all of us in this business are trying to do, is to set a good example rather than telling people what not to do. But those of you parents that are watching this right now, you have a lot of wisdom. Sometimes you don't know how to put it into words, and oftentimes you're saying, "Oh, but I understand that the internet can be really bad if you're on it too much." And we feel your frustration that you have that wisdom. You just don't know how to communicate it to get it through to the kid's head. We get that. But consider going to Google and searching for that frustration. And journalists have already done the storytelling with you. Then you are no longer the bad person. You're going to Google going, hey, sit down with me for 2 minutes. Let's go search for this. And start a dialogue. Make the journalist the one that's telling your kids what to do and what not to do. The story you can laugh with your kid, right? Not that you should laugh at other people, but at least learn from their mistakes so that we can be better. Agree or disagree?
Completely agree. We do that at home.
I get pumped up about this. I'm sorry. I love this stuff. And it's only because I think we're helping a lot of people. Alon, I want to thank you for being on this. The stuff that you're doing is really great. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you for having me on the show.
And all of you that want to learn more, I've got some books out. I don't even have them within eyeshot. It doesn't matter because, light, bright, and polite is really what we're teaching students. That's 1, be positive and fun online. That's what light means. 2, bright. Be smart before you post. Be smart. Think first. Am I going to get fired from Cisco before I ever get the chance to see my office, right? And then last, be polite. And that means thousands of people will see the juiciest post. If you're having a bad day, you are welcome to vent to somebody. We all have bad days, but please text a friend, call your parents. Let it out. Have your normal teenage self, just let it out, but do it one-on-one. Text it to somebody that loves you, that you love. Consider not having it on social, because that's the place where we build a positive portfolio of future opportunities and your new resume. That's what Instagram is becoming, is your resume. I'm Josh Ochs. Thanks everybody, and thanks to Alon and Unglue for really all the stuff that they're doing. I'll talk to all of you guys soon. Have a great day, and as always, keep it light, bright, and polite. See you soon.
Bye, guys.